In this video, you're going to learn how I build a personal brand to get leads. Now, I'm not going to speak about likes, engagements, or comments, but I'm purely going to speak about how we build a personal brand that attracts qualified prospects into the funnel to then book you in calls. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to show you my Miro screen. So again, as in the videos, I will teach you how to get leads. Our own profile uses this template, and we book around 15 to 30 calls per month on LinkedIn. And in February, we booked 160 calls across our own profile and across our client profiles using this exact framework. And I'm going to show it to you now. So as a brief caveat, there are lots of videos on YouTube that will teach you how to get leads, and they're completely designed for the algorithm, and they're going to give you a lot of waffle. In this video, I'm going to give you a lot of in-depth nuance about what we do and how we find the right profiles and the right offers and the right positioning to bring in those leads to. So step one, finding founder LinkedIn fit. Would you or your offer even get traction on LinkedIn? I think this is probably the most important thing to discuss, and it's actually why we turn away around 60 to 70% of the prospects that come to talk to us. Now, the problem is not all founders and not all offers and businesses work on LinkedIn. It's pretty clear cut and simple. And we know this because we've tried this across 40 niches and around 50 different profiles. So I'm going to tell you the traits of our highest performing client LinkedIn profiles, and you can use that to infer if this will work for you guys. So in the client performing profiles, what we've noticed is that there are three things that must be present for a profile to start generating traction. One is they have to have social proof. The best accounts have lots of case studies and are constantly have a process internally of collecting more. We've also helped some agencies implement that process too. Now, if you're not swimming in case studies, there are lots of other ways that you can produce case study-like posts. Like you can do in-process posts or testimonials with screenshots in Slack conversations, or simply show that you're doing the work through Loom videos or authentic posts. Now, if you are someone that doesn't have the case studies, we'd position you as an expert enthusiast. And what that means is you're not at that level where you're able to attract tier one clients, but as an enthusiast, you can get a lot of traction and you can attract at least the tier two clients. The other side is that if your offer makes other people money, you will do very well on LinkedIn. So if you are a lead generation agency or a lead generation SaaS, like a cold email SaaS tool, if you are a venture capitalist, if you're a fundraiser, if you're a coach, if you're a VC, if you're a course seller, you're in the niche of make people money or make money. Now, if you make money and LinkedIn's all about making money, you will do well on LinkedIn. And this is because you're attracting leads for a very desirable outcome, which is money. And then finally, opinions and experts. We've noticed that our best profiles have a strong opinion on the market. Now, I'm not necessarily saying they're contrarian opinions they have to have, but they have a detailed opinion that is backed up by data and their maybe historical career experience or their experience of working in multiple niches or across multiple clients. So they're most definitely the top 10% of executors. They have real opinions, they speak to real customers, and they have lots of insights. And for context, we worked with two agencies who had the literal exact same offer. One had more social proof, and one had a lot more expertise and opinions. Now, the one with the social proof and the expertise and the opinions outperformed the other agency 30 to 1. And I know that number 30 to 1 sounds a bit nebulous. It means one client we booked 30 meetings for, and one client we've only booked one meeting for. So we're very careful about who we take on because they have to ultimately have all of these three pillars. Now, step two, I'm going to zoom you around, is about discovering resonant ideas. Now, this is really important. What content does LinkedIn already distribute in your niche? Now, this is meant to help aid you in your journey of building a profile that gets leads. To even get there, you need to post the right content. Now, the first thing to do is when you go into your niche, and let's say you have found a LinkedIn fit, you now need to decipher what's already working in your niche. What is the competition doing? And exactly what types of posts are they posting? What's getting likes? What's getting engagements? And what do you infer is getting leads? Now, this is a really important step to do early in the journey because you need to work out if you can even create this type of content. So how we find resonant ideas in any niche. So we run this exercise for every new client without fail. It takes us 3 to 5 hours, and the end result is a market map of what's working in the niche. So the simple flow is we find good creators in your niche, we identify winning posts, and we analyze the patterns. And that really looks as simple as us using our 3-4-5 framework. And I have another video on that on the YouTube channel. But ultimately, we look at all the posts on LinkedIn, we categorize them according to our taxonomy of content type, post format, etc. And we have a quick market map of what type of posts are performing well on LinkedIn. Now, if you haven't seen the 3-4-5 framework, I'm briefly going to show it to you now. It's this over here. It's essentially our LinkedIn content framework that goes through pillars, content types, content formats, and how we use it. And ultimately, if you're doing one of these posts, we will know and we will taxonomize it into our model. And so the output we get is something that looks a bit like this. And this is what we did for the cold email niche. And as a result, when we went to create content for a client and we knew exactly what the resonant post types were for this niche. So we had the founder market fit or founder LinkedIn fit. And on the other side, we have what's working on LinkedIn, and we now can join them together. Now, the next step is, okay, I believe you have a great offer. The niche has these certain post types. We now need to capture your personal brand. And what that means is I need to decipher what's your offer, what's your customer, what's your pain points, what's the objections they have, what are the processes you do. And we do this through a series of 3 different information captures. So to build a personal brand that gets you leads, you need to now capture all this insight very quickly. The reason why it needs to be quick is because a CEO, a founder, does not have time to distill years of experience into the brain of a ghostwriter or someone creating content. And so whenever we have a new client, we walk them through an extensive onboarding process, which is an onboarding form, text questions, and guided interviews. And as a result, we collect loads of information. This looks like it's disconnected. Loads of information about your journey, your ICP, your case studies, your processes, your product and offer. Here's some example questions. They're definitely not all our questions or our most important ones. But I mean, the key point I want to make sure is we don't need to know everything about your business. We need to know the gaps about your business that match with resonant ideas. So what that means is, if this is the resonant ideas in your niche, and this is you, we're looking for this center ground, the segment of you and your business, which also works on LinkedIn and is true to yourself. So we're looking for this very specific middle ground, which I'm going to really bring in over here to help us create content. Now, let's say we've done that. We found exactly what the resonant post types are. We've collected all the information from you that fills in those post types. We now need to create content. And how do we attract leads through content marketing? So I'm going to give you a very brief summary of what you need to do. We've optimized 50 plus profiles. And once you start posting, this starts working. So what you need to do is, 1, post resonant ideas that fit for you, post 1 times per day, and follow the 3-4-5 framework, which I showed you earlier. This is not groundbreaking stuff. This part actually does feel groundbreaking. You'll be surprised at how many people just post what they want to post and not what is already resonant on LinkedIn. And you'll be surprised how many people try to break our framework. They try to do things that are unique and special because they think that that's the better way to go. But truly on social media, there are certain patterns that you can follow. And what you're looking for is a pattern recognizer to input you and your personal brand into the algorithm. Now, as a result of all these posting, you get a batch of content that looks a bit like that. Simply in Notion, 10 posts for the next 14 days. Now, at this point, you have resonant post types. These 14 posts or 10 posts will perform extremely well. They'll perform extremely well because you have found a LinkedIn fit. You're posting about a resonant idea. We've captured your brand voice in under 2 hours per month or 3 hours per month. And we've created content following the 3-4-5 framework. And we're posting once a day. The final thing to do, and this is the most hilarious thing, most people will put this task first. This is not the first task. This is most definitely the very last task. Once we've collected all the information about market and we've started to create content, we now design a profile that leads want to follow. And leads follow you because of 3 reasons. And once you nail these 3 reasons, you start to really attract and optimize for it. They either want your offer, they believe you have perceived expertise, or they want more value. So if they've seen your offer in your profile, banner, bio, link, they're attracted to it. They may not be ready to buy yet, but they're curious to hear more about you and to build the trust with you. So therefore, they give you a follow. They're not booking the call in yet, but they're effectively raising their hand saying, what he gives, I want. Or you're in a conversation on LinkedIn, or you're being spoken about by a conversation on LinkedIn, and you're being referenced by other thought leaders. The second that happens is you're now borrowing your trust and that authority from that other thought leader. And people feel like they should follow you. They feel like they have to follow you, because if they're not, they're missing out on the thought leaders in market. And finally, they simply just want more value. If you've been delivering a lot of value and you've been helping them solve their current problems, it's very likely that they will stay for you because they need more help solving those problems, or they want to solve their new problems. Now, some followers will want it for free. That's completely reasonable to expect, but some will transition to paid. Now, simply put, if you want to optimize your profile for all these 3 things, it's actually very, very simple. And we've seen this time and time again. You're going to see a lot of profiles have very different things to what we do, but this actually works. In your profile, you want one core offer, one clear call to action, and you need to position yourself for your best potential client. What that means is find your top 10% client, whoever it is that's your top 10%. Maybe you do your best results for the 8-figure marketing agency like us, or the 7-figure marketing agency. Now, I know for a fact that we can book in 20 to 50 calls at a minimum in the next 12 weeks for that agency. So we lead with that offer. That's what we want to speak to on market. Everyone else below our criteria or qualification criteria still wants this outcome because they all want to be the 7-figure, 8-figure agency. And simply, we only have one call to action, which is get what we give, i.e. straight to a Calendly or straight to a VSL or some sort of resource where they can access a bit more information and gain some more trust. This is how a profile is on it for Blair. He goes, we help you fulfill everything. It's a fulfillment company. It's super simple. Now, as a result of doing this and having one clear CTA, you book in a lot of calls. So this is one client who very recently booked in 30 calls, closed 2 clients, all in the first 14 days. So this is their calendar. This is some proof, and there's some screenshots in conversation. So my general note here is there are only 5 steps to building a personal brand on LinkedIn. It's make sure you have found a LinkedIn fit. You're only going to know this if you have worked with someone that's done this already, because they can tell you where it doesn't work. You discover resonant ideas, i.e. understand your niche. You need to capture your personal brand, i.e. have those interviews and those phone calls. We need to create content following our 3-4-5 framework. And then finally, we need to optimize a LinkedIn profile. When you do all this and you start posting, you get results almost immediately, provided you've done everything right on that flow. So this video, I explained to you how to do it. I'm going to drop this Miro board in the links below. You'll need to give your email to access it, but once you do, you get the Miro board.